In a vibrant classroom buzzing with activity, a curious student named Timmy is always eager for knowledge. Now, Timmy isn't like all the other students. He's got a sparkle in his eye and a question on his lips, always ready to learn something new. His hand is forever shooting up into the air, a signal of his endless thirst for knowledge. And then there's Mrs. Johnson, the beacon of wisdom in this bustling classroom. She's patient and kind, always ready with an answer for Timmy's myriad of questions. It could be about the stars in the sky or the grass under our feet. No query is too big or too small for our little inquirer. And Mrs. Johnson, she never misses a beat. She embraces Timmy's curiosity with open arms, providing answers that only fuel his desire to learn more. Mrs. Johnson always encourages Timmy's curiosity, knowing that it's an essential part of learning. One day, Timmy asks a question that Mrs. Johnson couldn't answer right away. In the midst of a bustling classroom, Timmy, with his ever-so-curious mind, raises his hand and asks, "Mrs. Johnson, why is kindness important?" The question hangs in the air, wrapping the classroom in a blanket of silence. Mrs. Johnson, taken aback by the profundity of the question, ponders silently. Her eyes twinkle with thoughtfulness as she searches for the right words. "Timmy," she finally says, "that's a wonderful question, one that deserves a thoughtful answer. Let me think about it and I'll give you a satisfying answer tomorrow." The promise of an answer leaves Timmy in a state of anticipation. His young mind buzzes with curiosity, his heart filled with eagerness. The day ends, but Timmy's question lingers, echoing in the corners of the classroom. Timmy couldn't wait for the next day. He really wanted to know why kindness mattered. The next day, Mrs. Johnson has a special lesson planned. In the heart of her classroom, Mrs. Johnson unveils her grand plan. She wants to organize a kindness activity. She explains the simple rules. Each one of them will perform a small act of kindness for another student. The idea is to make someone else's day a little bit brighter. At first, the students appear puzzled, unsure of what to make of this unusual assignment. They glance around, eyebrows furrowed, and questions floating in their eyes. But as the gears in their young minds start to turn, they begin to understand what their teacher is asking of them. And so, they set off on their kindness mission. Little acts of love and care start to fill the room. A shared pencil here, a compliment there, a helping hand, a warm smile. The air is soon buzzing with the pure happiness that kindness brings. The room is filled not just with laughter and smiles, but with a newfound understanding. The students see the joy they bring to their classmates. They feel the warmth that kindness gives back to them. They learn that kindness is not just about making others happy. It's also about the joy they feel in their own hearts when they do something good for someone else. Now, Timmy and his classmates understood why kindness is important. As the day ended, Timmy approached Mrs. Johnson with a smile on his face. A heart full of gratitude, he said, "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Today I learned that kindness is more than just a word. It's a feeling that warms our hearts." Mrs. Johnson returned his smile, her eyes sparkling with pride. She knew she had taught him a lesson he would carry forward in life. And the moral of the story is, kindness is a gift that brings happiness to both the giver and the receiver.